The Amy Wroe Bechtel disappearance. On July 24, 1997, 24-year-old Amy Wroe Bechtel left her home in Lander, Wyoming to go for a run in the Wind River Range. She was an Olympic marathon hopeful and record-breaking distance runner who had been married just over a month. Amy planned to map out a 10K race route in the Shoshone National Forest, about 15 miles southwest of Lander. She left her husband Steve a to-do list and drove to the remote Loop Road area. Hours passed. Amy never returned. Her Toyota Tercel was found the next morning at the Burnt Gulch turnoff. Inside were her sunglasses, car keys on the driver's seat, and her handwritten to-do list. No signs of struggle, no footprints, nothing. Despite one of the most extensive searches in Wyoming history, involving hundreds of volunteers, helicopters, dogs, and even Russian satellite assistance, not a single trace of Amy was ever found. No clothing, no body, no evidence. The case remains unsolved after 27 years. Amy was declared legally dead in 2004, but her disappearance still haunts investigators and her family. What happened to Amy Wroe Bechtel in that vast Wyoming wilderness remains one of the state's most enduring mysteries.
This story was sent in by a seasonal forest ranger. He said he almost didn't report it because he wasn't sure anyone would believe it even happened. You get used to weird stuff working for the Forest Service, especially out in Wyoming. Animal tracks that don't make sense, hikers ignoring posted trails, the occasional creepy old shed deep in the trees. But I've never seen anything like that cabin. I was stationed near Shoshone National Forest, doing routine checks on trail markers and backcountry permits. Late summer, middle of the week, quiet. I was following an old firebreak trail on foot, GPS clipped to my vest, when I saw smoke in the distance. Not a wildfire, just a thin column, white and steady. At first, I thought maybe campers had set up somewhere off-grid. I pushed through some overgrowth, maybe half a mile off the trail, and then I found it. A full-sized log cabin. It was tucked into a hollow, almost invisible until you were right on top of it. No driveway, no footpath, no tire marks, boot prints, or disturbed brush. Just the cabin, sitting there like it had always been there. The chimney was working. Smoke curled into the sky. The front windows glowed orange from a fire inside, but there were no sounds, no voices, no movement. I called out, "Hello, U.S. Forest Service," nothing. I stepped closer, boots crunching dry pine needles. Still nothing. The front door wasn't locked, just creaked open when I pushed it. Inside was warm, cozy even. Fire crackling in the hearth. A cot with a plaid blanket. A small kitchen setup with neatly stacked canned goods. It smelled like wood smoke and something sharp, maybe cleaning fluid. I stepped to the back wall, and that's when I saw it. License plates, dozens of them. Rusty, bent, but all clean enough to read. Nailed up in rows across the far wall. Each one had a tag year. All different states. Some from years ago, some recent. But what really stopped me? One of them had a sticker from my home state, and the plate number looked familiar. It was off by one digit from my own truck. I backed out, fast. Outside, I took one last glance, and noticed something I swear wasn't there when I came in. Next to the cabin was a shovel, clean, propped up against a fresh pile of dirt, like someone had just used it, and leaned it there before going inside. But the cabin was empty. I marked the coordinates and hiked straight back. When I came back 2 hours later with another ranger, nothing. No smoke, no warm hearth, no plates, not even the clearing, just forest, as if the place never existed. This story came from a bow hunter who spends every September tracking elk in the Bighorn Mountains. He doesn't hunt anymore. I've hunted elk in Wyoming for over 20 years. Always solo, always clean. I don't take risks, and I don't believe in tall tales. But I'm telling you now, something followed me out there, and it knew my name. It started on day 2 of my trip last season. I was about 15 miles into the Bighorns, camped near a stream. Classic setup, light gear, tree stand strapped to my back, moving with the herd. Around 6 a.m., I glassed a large bull across a meadow. He was bigger than average, massive rack, broad chest, but what caught my attention was the collar. A thick GPS tracking collar, the kind wildlife departments use. That meant he was tagged, monitored, probably part of a study. I took a few pictures, marked the location on my GPS, and decided to shadow him for a day or two. I wasn't planning to shoot him, just curious. That curiosity nearly killed me. I followed the bull's tracks all day, but every time I caught sight of him, he was already watching me. Just standing there, still, like a statue in the trees. Once at midday, once right before dusk. He didn't flinch, didn't run. He just stared. By day 3, I started getting a weird feeling. My GPS showed the bull moving, but the tracks on the ground didn't match. He was supposedly half a mile ahead, but there were no signs of fresh trail, no snapped twigs, no droppings, no prints. I figured the collar had bad data. That night, I made camp near a rock outcropping, tucked in close with my bow beside me. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to a beep, my GPS tracker. I checked the screen, groggy. The bull's signal was close. Really close, like within 100 feet. I stepped out of the tent, heart pounding, and scanned the trees with my headlamp. Nothing, no movement, no eyeshine, just fog rolling low through the trees. I turned the GPS off and zipped myself back in. Next morning, I found hoof prints outside the tent. Just one set. They circled my fire pit, then walked in a straight line to the driver's side door of my truck, and stopped. That made no sense. I was 10 miles from my truck, and elk don't walk in clean circles around man-made fires. I packed everything fast and hiked back to the trailhead. Made it to the truck just before dark. Threw my gear in the bed, climbed in the cab, and that's when I saw the collar signal pop up again on my handheld. I hadn't touched it. It had been in my backpack all day. The signal flashed once, then twice, then froze. The bull's location was now inside my truck. I whipped around, nothing. Checked the bed, checked under the truck, nothing. But sitting on the front passenger seat, one of my gloves. Not weird in itself, until I picked it up and saw my name stitched inside. I don't own any gear with my name sewn in, not like that. I left that night. I haven't been back. The glove's gone now. I burned it the next morning. And I haven't opened my GPS since, but sometimes I swear. I still hear that slow beep from the back of my closet. This story was shared by a woman traveling alone through Wyoming. She stopped at a state park to stretch her legs and left questioning everything she thought she saw. You don't think twice about using a public restroom until something makes you wish you hadn't. I was on a road trip last fall, just me and my car, headed west through Wyoming. I saw nothing fancy, just hitting parks and sleeping in the back of my SUV when I needed to. I liked it that way. Quiet, simple, free. One afternoon, I pulled into a small state park near Lander. There was a picnic area, a trailhead, and a brown concrete restroom building tucked against some pines. Nobody else was around, which didn't bother me. It was that kind of weekday. I grabbed a protein bar, locked my car, and jogged over to the restroom. The inside was what you'd expect, dim, cold, and smelled like old bleach. 3 stalls, cracked mirror, buzzing light. I picked the middle one. That's when I noticed something strange. There was a metal hatch on the floor under the stall to my left. Square, with a recessed handle, and a faded red sticker half scraped off. Not the kind of thing I'd seen in a bathroom before. And scratched into the tile right beside it were the words, "Let me back out." I stared at it for a long time. It looked old, like it had been there for years. Scratches worn into the grout. not fresh. I felt a tight knot form in my stomach. I finished up and stepped out, now feeling uneasy. I glanced again at the hatch. It didn't have a lock, but it wasn't something that would just pull open either. It had bolt holes, like it used to be screwed shut tight. I pushed on it lightly. It didn't budge. Back outside, I looked around. Still no one in the lot. No rangers, no cars. I went back to my SUV and sat there with the engine off, just listening. Then I heard it. A soft clang, metal on metal, like something moving a latch from underneath. I started the engine. A week later, I was staying with a friend in Montana and told her about it. She used to intern for the Parks Department and asked me to show her the spot on a map. I did. She pulled up a public site with park maintenance schematics. That bathroom? It was built with no basement, no plumbing under the floor, just a sealed concrete slab, and nothing in the records shows a hatch. I called the park office, asked casually if there was any kind of access tunnel or old storm shelter under that building. The woman on the phone paused for a long time. Then she said, "Ma'am, we get that question more than you'd think. I'll transfer you." I hung up.